Lately, I've been having more 10K months. Now, bear in mind, that's after business expenses. That I'm not talking about revenue, I'm talking about money that is take-home money. And I don't say that to brag. I don't say that to like feel good about myself or stroke my own ego or anything, but it's a major goal for a lot of people out there. Anyone who's trying to make money doing something that is theirs completely. These are the things that I'm learning, attributes, best practices, behaviors that I feel like have contributed to some of these semi-recurring good months. I'll probably start with the one that is the most actionable, which is repivoting when necessary. When you are a business owner, when you are starting out, when you're trying to get your footing, you don't know what works, and that's extremely annoying, and you don't know how long it's going to be for this thing that you're working on to work. There's just lots of unknown factors because you're brand new at this, you're starting from scratch, you don't really have any kind of proven model or system yet, so it's very, very, very exploratory, and the things that sound really perfect on paper, like why wouldn't this work, sometimes there are just things that don't work out with it. You kind of have to constantly keep yourself in check to be like, it didn't work, that's okay. What did I learn from this, and how can I use all of this information that I have? And when you're operating on such a very, very small, quiet, humble scale, you're going to get a lot of small results. There will not be any flashing neon lights saying this is the thing you did wrong or this is the thing that went right. I would say for me, any new thing that I'm trying, any new marketing tactic, any new offer that I'm doing, I give it about a quarter's worth of time to see like, is this catching on? Is this doing anything? Because anything that you do now will have a delayed reaction of probably a few months, depending on what you're working on. So if it works, great, double down on that. If it doesn't work, are you emotionally mature enough to get over yourself to try something new, even if you were really excited about that thing, or you thought that that thing was gonna be the thing? I would say the second most actionable thing that has contributed to my semi-frequent 10K months is networking. When you're starting out, when you're new with the whole entrepreneurship thing, no one knows who you are and no one cares about what you do. When it comes to business, I try to be a realist. And what's real is that people don't know you, they don't know who you are, no one can vouch for you, they have not experienced you yet, they haven't heard of you, so why should they care? It is your job to make them care. You're not the exception. Treat yourself like you are not the exception. You're just like anyone else in the room trying to make the magic happen. You're not going to get your clients or your business most likely from social media, from doing all these events, because no one knows who you are, right? No one cares. But who does know you and care about you are the people that already know you and can vouch for you and the kind of person that you are. Those are your friends, your family, but most importantly, business connections, which is why networking is so important in the beginning. You need a referral engine. You need someone who is able to fairly consistently send you people that are maybe out of scope for them, or that are maybe beyond what they need, or is not qualified enough for the people that they work with. If it doesn't work out for them, or they don't offer the thing that they're looking for, you want to be the next best option. And let me tell you, in the beginning, for me, that really, really came in handy. There was one person in particular that I'm thinking of, and she was someone who just wanted to implement. Tell me what I need to do and I'll do it, that's it. Anything strategy related, not my thing. Go to Lauren for that. I would say having, ideally, 2 or 3 of those kinds of people in the beginning is so beneficial, but it's better to have one than none at all. And it's not all about you either. When you network, yes, you're looking for those opportunities, but don't forget that they're also looking for opportunities too. So what they're lacking, you might have something. The other thing that I'll say that I think contributed to my semi-frequent 10K months is extreme responsiveness. What's great about this, and many of these things that I'm talking about, is that they do not require talent. It just requires a little bit of self-awareness. My general rule of thumb for myself, and I actually learned this from a previous job that I was at, and it just kind of stuck with me, is that I don't let any email go longer than 24 hours for me personally without getting some kind of response. Even just confirming that you received their message within 24 hours, if there's like a bigger project or a task or something that they're wanting done, like that's fine too. It just makes you look dependable, and dependability, in my opinion, is one of the best attributes that anyone can have. The next one that's kind of similar to that is operating with integrity, and this is also extremely important and something that I know my clients appreciate because they've told me how much they appreciate it. If I don't think a product or a service or a subscription or a software, if a client comes to me asking, should I subscribe to this thing? Do you you think it will help us? Do you think it'll help my brand grow? Do you think it'll help me sell more of X? Do you think it'll help with this? If I don't think it will, I'm going to say no. I think you'd be wasting your money. I think you'd be disappointed. You're better off not doing that. Or maybe my answer is, yeah, go for it. Actually, that's very complimentary with some of the stuff and the efforts that we're working on right now. If people know that you're truthful, that you're honest, that you have that integrity, it's just easier for them to want to stick around with you and keep you as one of their go-to people in their back pocket. So there's one guy that came to me earlier this year. He's still a client of mine. We were having a conversation about the proposal that I put together for him. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll maybe list 2, maybe at most 3 recommendations at the bottom of my proposal for what packages or what things or whatever makes sense. And almost always I'll put in bright pink that this is the one that I recommend. Out of all these options that I'm offering, I think this one makes the most sense because A, people like having choices, and B, people like knowing what your thoughts on those choices are. So if you can put the ball in their court, but keep them educated on their options because you're the expert, that's why they're hiring you, that's really attractive. So this person that is still a client of mine that I was having this conversation with, he was trying to sell himself on one of my bigger packages. That's really nice money for me. I would love to have more of that money. But for him, I didn't really think that that made sense. It seemed like it was a bit overkill for, what his goals were, what he was wanting to get out of our working relationship. So I actually talked him down into a smaller package because that made more sense for him. Less money for me, but I figured I want him to feel good about his decision, and I want him to know that I'm not trying to scheme him out of money unnecessarily. And that's one of the things that he said got him to stick around with me longer, is because he knew that he could trust me. The second to last thing that I'll say about what has contributed to my 10K months is that you have to be so consistent with everything. Anything that is client facing, anything that is public facing, you have to be absolutely consistent with it, which is why I'm pretty shoddy at doing my social media marketing stuff. I'm not very good. For being a marketer, I'm not good at marketing my own stuff. I get on these roles and then I drop the ball because other stuff comes up. There's just a lot of things that you're balancing when you're in business with yourself. I'll sacrifice. You're not supposed to. In a perfect world, everything works out, but my world is not perfect. If I have a choice between sacrificing my marketing schedule versus making a client happy, that's a really easy decision. I'm going to make sure that whatever I do, that client has everything and exactly that they need in the time that they need it. Communication, deliverables, updates, keeping them in the loop with future plans, things that you have in mind. I mean, that kind of consistency with your efforts, with your communication, with your integrity, all those things that I just talked about, showing up every day with them is going to make whatever they're paying you even more worth it, because they're not just paying you for your time or paying you for your deliverable, they're also paying you for the experience that you're providing them. And that's one of the biggest things that I've learned. That's what informs your reputation. All these things that I'm talking about informs your reputation. And in the beginning, when I've talked with my husband about this, you're not going to be getting a ton of clients in the beginning because you're still building your brand, you're spreading the word about what you do, you're making those connections. The one thing that you do have in the very beginning that builds quicker than that is your reputation. And your reputation is going to follow you everywhere. Everything that you do right now is going to have a delayed reaction, and you don't know how close you are to hitting your next gold line. And the last thing that I'll say about my 10K months is that diversification is really important, because if one domino falls, you don't want the other dominoes to fall. You know what I mean? It's sort of like, I'm not an electrician, but there's like different types of circuits. And you don't want to have the one where if you unscrew one light bulb, all of the other light bulbs go out. Right now, I would probably say about half of my business comes from my individual clientele. I have probably 4 clients right now, but I prefer to have fewer clients that pay more, because I feel like that allows me to keep that individual level with them. I don't want to feel like I'm just slapping something together, like standardizing something to serve the masses. To me, that's not my personal style. So I've got about 4 of those, and that makes up about 50% of my revenue. And then the other half is a revenue share that I have with one of those clients. I helped build out his online community. I helped with the strategy. I built it out. I'm maintaining it. I'm doing all of the technical, administrative, accounting, implementation, all of that stuff. So he doesn't have to. In exchange, I get a revenue share of that agreement, which makes up the other half. And then, every once in a while, there's some like one-off projects. There's some partnerships here or there. Someone wants to bring me in for a project. Like, it all just kind of varies. Not every opportunity is going to look the same, and that's okay. For me, I kind of like that. I kind of like the variety. I like predictability and consistency, but every once in a while, I like variety in the types of projects and stuff that I'm working working on. I like my clientele because they are all so wonderful. I have never had any problems at all with my clientele just because they're so wonderful. It gives me peace of mind having that predictable income because I know I'm showing up and they're happy with the work that I do. So the only reason that they would cancel is if for some reason they would stop being able to afford it or something. And what's great about the revenue share is that that's also ongoing because it's consistently growing due to our combined efforts of trying to make this thing worth people's time, this community that we have. Those are probably 6 things that I would say have contributed to my semi-frequent 10K months. It's a goal of mine to make that more consistent, but I thought as someone who's maybe a couple steps ahead of you, I don't know, you might find this valuable. So I hope you got something out of this video. If you want to consider subscribing, feel free to do that. I love to talk about the underbelly of entrepreneurship and just things that I'm learning. I don't feel like an expert, but I just try to share some of the things that I learned to save you time, save you some headaches. So I have a meeting in about 3 minutes that I have to get to, but I just wanted to put this out there, save you some time, give you some answers, all that good stuff. Feel free to share your thoughts below. If any of you are guys with short hair, be lucky that you don't have these problems where your hair gets caught in your earring. Have a great day. Hope you got something out of this. Comment your thoughts below. See you next time. Bye.